So now
Hey,
that Jonita
Katie.
is here,
Mm-hmm.
let's just start with our quick intros again. Hi, everyone. My name is Christine Pasalo Norland, and I am the founder and president of Hello Barcada. And I am joined by the wonderful Jonita Davis, who is
Hi.
who's the founder and founder of the Black Cape magazine
Mm-hmm.
and a film critic. So welcome. And
Thank you.
the call out is a collaborative new series that we put together to expand off of Jonita's Medium essay that's called, which I love, Why I'm Calling Out Colonizer Criticism and What That Means for You. So yeah, so I'll pass it on to Jonita if you wanted to break down what's in store for everyone today.
Well, for today and however long we keep doing this, this is kind of an extension of the article, calling out colonizer criticism. And by colonizer criticism, I mean that type of criticism that just assumes, that they are the dominant critics, that they are the gatekeepers to art, and that what they say goes. So if they say a movie is good, it's good. If they say a movie's bad, it's bad. And we're just supposed to just fall in line. And I'm saying, no, we're not. Because when this happens, usually it's because you've got critics who are, white male critics who do not understand, the material like BEL-AIR that is made by and with and for, well, I mean, not solely for, but, it's targeted towards the Black community. So, you get something that's like totally about the Black experience, made by Black people with Black, people in it. They can't relate. So instead of trying to, understand, ask, get education, the thing is to do what Christopher Columbus did and, just slice and pillage and say, destroy it. And that's what happened. So we are here to call out those type of criticisms, that those type of critics and that type of criticism, so that it stops, because we're getting more and more and more creators of color out there doing some great work. I mean, Turning Red was phenomenal. We have BEL-AIR. We have there are a lot of programs on TV right now that are POC led. So POC, people of color, in case someone out there didn't know, but POC led projects with creators who are creators of color, telling their own stories their own way. They should be afforded the same type of courtesy of some of the white male of all of the white male creators doing the same thing. So yeah, that's what this is for, and it's about. And hopefully people watching this will kind of get, maybe get used to, kind of wrap their brains around what this concept is and how they can get on social media and start talking and calling out on their own.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. And I think too, on the other side of this, then we also want to provide, I guess, again, resources, because that's is part of what Hello Barcada is too, is that we want to provide a resource as far as pointing you to suggesting reviewers that we think are actually, that we feel are doing a good job of opening and being inclusive about the conversations we are actually, that they're wanting to have with the audience and with the viewers, because to embrace this idea of this like collective embracing and kind of discussion over the arts, right? And the art being in this way being film and TV.
If I can I just wanted to add that, the collective. So the one thing about colonizer criticism is that it's good or bad, and one person or one type of person gets to decide. When you put it out to the collective, everyone gets to. And see, that is how you combat, that form of criticism, is getting the collective armed with, the tools that you talked about. And, these are good examples, and they are people for you to follow, some of the names in these reviews. So hopefully people do that as well.
So yeah, so So as Jonita mentioned, we've decided our first, and this was way before, we decided this before this weekend, way before this weekend, that we would be looking at reviews of BEL-AIR. And we, as I mentioned in the description, as the season for BEL-AIR ends, I believe it's tonight, we're actually going back to before it even premiered, which means that, you know, reviewers are in the position now to have, to be able to frame the dialogue and basically the potential consumption of this new project, this new vehicle. And what's interesting about BEL-AIR in context too is that it, as an exclusive to Peacock, it meant that there were some people that would have to decide if they're going to put money into subscribing to Peacock in order to watch the entire series. So understanding that context, we looked at 4 reviews that came up before the public could even start streaming the show. We looked at Angelica Jade, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing, Angelica Jade Bastion from The Vulture, Matt Ratch from TV Insider, Jack Seal from The Guardian, and Melanie McFarland's review on Salon. And all of these are linked on Hello Barcada, so that if you wanted to review them yourself and then watch the playback, you can add your own voice to the dialogue after we post the playback. But if you have read them beforehand in context to tonight, please feel free to drop in any questions or comments as we move along. So yeah, so we reviewed those reviews. And so I want to throw it to you, Jonita. What were some qualities of colonizer criticism that showed themselves in any of these reviews?
I'm pulling up one of them. I know I'm a word nerd, so I could go directly to the wording, and you have these words that, like I said before, that kind of hit at this binary, and I think you pointed that out. The binary of, you know, you've got one option or the other, and there's nothing else. So it did so by comparing all of the reviews that really attacked BEL-AIR seem to compare, and I'm so sorry, there's like sirens coming down the street, but they compared the original, which is a comedy sitcom, to the one today, which is a drama, an hour-long drama. Comedy sitcom, hour-long drama. Not to mention all the years between the two of them, you know. So if this were any other show and you had those dynamics, it would be a no-brainer. I mean, I remember Punky Brewster. When I covered it, I love Punky Brewster, of course. I didn't hear anyone really going after the new show because of how much it diverged from the old one, or how much. I mean, they applauded it for the throwbacks it did to the old show.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that stood out was, you know, the words that kind of tethered it. So they all go back to the original. All back to the original. All of them use the words origin, original, just to, you know, kind of to frame this new show as something that's other, that's outside, that is like an anomaly, you know. It's not where it's supposed to be. They attack it for the comedy, because of the comedy, the lack of comedy. So it's a drama, right? It's not going to be funny, but they call it joyless. It's a drama. I mean, you can't have a lot of happy people in a drama, right? But to use a word like joyless, that's a word that kind of, you know, they're using words that kind of build this imagery, right, that, you know, where it shouldn't be, you know. We shouldn't be talking about, you know, the joy in it anyway, because it's a freaking drama. I just wanted to strangle all of them when they did when I read these, because they all started out the same way, talking about the old one and then talking about the new one and calling it, you know, dull or dark, or, you know, saying all the same terminology. If you look at them, it's
Mm-hmm.
dark, dull, slow. I think I saw melancholy at one point. Seal uses that joyless. He calls it confusing,
Mm.
sad. Um, yeah. So all of those type of terminology to kind of frame this BEL-AIR in a negative air before you get out of the first paragraph.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, did you go into this with this? I mean, to me,
Fair.
that just tells me you went into this and you went and saw it with having that kind of framework in your head going, you know.
Right.
I think was it Angelica who pointed out that everybody knows? No, was it Angelica that did everyone knows the background of this, how it came up, how it got started. I don't know.
Oh no, I think so. Angelica's piece did
It's
actually,
Melanie. Yeah.
she gave a little more background on it. I think
Mhm.
that everyone.
Melanie McFarland was the one who
Okay.
said, "We all know the story," you know. And I started hers off. We all know the story. We all know how this came about. It was on social media. It was everywhere. You all know it. So when you look at that, and then you go back to Mr. Seal or Mr. Roush or any other, insert name here, you go and look at their reviews. It's like, okay, so this is something that we truly did all know. So why are you starting there?
Mm.
As if it's a surprise. They're making it seem like it's a surprise. So I started with the words, and then I went looking for the patterns. And to me, there's all of the reviews that really attacked the show seem to have the same. They have the same pattern.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, I think what's interesting is, yeah, I also saw that same pattern of, at least each of these four reviewers, did frame it from having a knowledge base in the sitcom, which at this point is 20, if you go from so it went from 90 to 96. So if people, if I did the math, and with a calculator though, because I'm not that great. And if you go from the premiere from 1990, you're looking at, so 32 years has passed since the sitcom. And then like 26 years since its last season. So I started to think about what does this do for a 26-year-old to a 32-year-old who does, yes, you could probably, there's probably ways to see the sitcom. But say you didn't, because admittedly it's easy to be distracted or to have focus somewhere else. What did these reviews have done for if the production was targeting fresh eyes, right? 26 to 32-year-olds. It's there were two reviews, like I found like Roush's was, I don't know if it's a matter of word count, but it felt very intent on just being biting and pithy. Almost,
Sound bites.
yeah. And then I felt like, so Seals, I was immediately taken aback, as you said, with the word choice, because to title it has no reason to exist, and then ending the first paragraph with has no reason to exist, I was like, why not? Why not? I mean, how could we say that about any kind of, you take it to a larger concept. How can you say that about a piece of art that does not seem to be intent on trying to be physically harmful? Like,
Yes.
I didn't
It makes it seem like
understand.
the show is coming to get you,
Yeah.
So yeah, with that whole existence part, to me it's like, okay, so if you're saying it's so bad that it shouldn't be on TV, but you're not giving, is it inappropriate? Is there something? What about this makes it so bad that we cannot show this to anybody?
Right.
And the only thing he stated was that he didn't like it. So because he didn't like it, it's bad enough to where we shouldn't show it to anybody. Now, guys, think about Christopher Columbus, some of the other guys. They didn't like the look of the people who were already here. So what they do to them? Yeah. So you see where I'm going? So this is where I get this, because that need to dominate. You know, if I don't like it, it's not good. So it needs to go. It needs to be gone. It needs to be destroyed.
Right.
That what I say in this article, when you take on the responsibility of critiquing someone's work, when you say, I am going to sit down and I'm going to criticize someone's work, you take on responsibilities. Mm-hmm. And one of those responsibilities is to be respectful to the art. It is art, no matter what. Even if my 8-year-old made it and put it out there, Peacock picked it up, it's art, you know. Well, I mean, if my 8-year-old made it and I threw it up on my Instagram, it's art, you know. So be respectful of it first. And second, somebody made that. People, I mean, people, you've got all these actors who are in there, and a lot of new faces, people breaking in to the business, or, you know, some of them have been around for a while, but, you know, this is their breakout moment, you know how they do us with the people of color with the breakout moment. Yeah. You're famous in the community for, you know, for ages, and then all of a sudden white people discover you and it's your breakout moment. So, you know, you got a lot of people looking for that to be happening now. A lot of people, this is their livelihoods. This is how they feed their families. And you're saying, because some dude, no one knows other than your name in the paper, because of you, one person did not like this. All of these people don't deserve to eat. They need to be fired. They need to lose their money. These stars don't deserve any more work, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're destroying all of that. And Colonizer criticism is, and if I had, you know, either of these guys in front of me, they would tell me that I'm taking it too far. Oh no, you're taking it too far. You're doing too much. You know, it's not about that. You're making it political. But when, like you said, when you're targeting these people who came after the Fresh Prince, they don't know about the original. They're depending on you to tell them, you know, what's going down on this thing. They don't know anything about it, and they trust you. Right. And when you say it shouldn't exist, they're not going to watch it. Right. And if they don't watch it, it doesn't get picked up. If it doesn't get picked up, people lose their jobs. People are not going to get picked up again. So, yeah, this is not taking it too far. This is exactly where we need to be going. We need to be thinking about this. And you know, and the words we used, I mean, some of the words I saw were, was it in Roush, who, you talked about the words, the power of the words he used. I mean, he called the Philly guys a gun-toting thugs on the streets of West Philly. I'm like, oh, I thought we told white people to stop calling us thugs a long time ago. I thought that was like, I thought we kind of did that book. I mean, we made that rule, right? I mean, we made that rule. We told them that that's not cool, right? We all decided, I don't know, we gotta redefine that rule, because I mean, they're still popping up with it. And even Roush goes, the original buoyancy of the first one. So they're getting to the point where they're almost deifying the original. Sitcom comedy, right? Slapstick comedy. I'm sorry, I love Will Smith. I love everybody in that original comedy, but it wasn't that great. I'm sorry, it was not. And they're holding it up on this pedestal where it doesn't need to be, and they're totally ignoring the nuance that comes out when Angelica starts writing, when Melanie starts writing, because Melanie's article, to kind of switch, you know, to something, a good dissent. It was respectful. I mean, her article, it laid down the framework of where this comes from, of what we should know going in. You can tell Melanie did, you know, the homework. And this article, her article also goes, while these elements didn't work, there was room for these to maybe improve. Or these, there was something she wrote where she talked about how something didn't work in there, but there's still room for improvement. Was that her ending?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was. Let me go down to the end. It was done very well. It goes, right now the story of how Bel Air came to be is richer than the show itself. But as the wise investor knows, it may pay to give it time. She's
Right.
not saying destroy the thing. She's not saying
Right.
light it on fire and get rid of it. She's saying maybe it's not so good. I don't know. You should try it yourself, you know. Maybe it has potential and I just ain't seen it yet. Maybe, maybe this is a person who is calling forth, okay, I didn't like it, but I'm not saying I didn't like it because it was bad. I'm saying I didn't like it because of these reasons.
Right.
And I am owning up to the fact that I may have, tunnel vision and there may be blind spots I didn't see.
Right.
That's what you're supposed to do as a critic.
Right.
That's what you're supposed to do. Right. So I don't understand why it's so hard and why they keep continuing to do the same thing over and over and over again. When you've got examples by women of color, Angelica's was amazing. You have these examples and they keep coming. I mean, I guess they're not reading our work. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, so let's also bring up the point too, like, I mean, as far as respect goes, it was important. I felt like the reviews that made it a point to clarify, almost from the jump, that what they were reviewing were only the first 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
yep.
So it puts more, again, into context, Melanie McFarland's review, the way it ended, which is to say that, look, this is my perception of this based on these 3. This is not the full set. And I believe, I want to say, isn't it, when it got picked up, it was actually picked up for 2 seasons. It was already green for 2, which is to say then she understands going into that 3 of potentially 20 episodes. This is my hot take on what these 3 are giving me, but that's not to say I don't know what it's going to be like by 20th episode. Right. So, right. And yeah, and we're talking about like Angelica's, so for everyone who hasn't had a chance to screen both of these, I think what's important to state here too is no one was really being fully like valorizing this new show. They were reviewing it they were trying, particularly Angelica and Melanie were trying to be as fair as possible. What I liked about Angelica's was how they grounded it in like this larger history of Black visual representation. Like she took it back to 1929. I was like, okay, I love this because now maybe that's the nerd in me. Maybe that's.
Listen, I'm sure Homegirl could have taken it all the way back to slavery if you gave her enough word, but because it goes.
And so what I came away after reading that review was, which is understandable to say, and I think it was I came away with her saying ultimately there were missed opportunities in the first 3 that she saw. And that necessarily those missed opportunities were not necessarily the fault of the creators, but potentially the way one creates in this industry of what Hollywood is. So in that sense, to me, it was fair and in that sense gracious and open, because then me as a viewer, I could be like, ooh, and me as a nerd viewer being like, now I want to watch this. Because I want to see what she was talking about and see if I see the same things. And so, yeah, I think, and those would be examples of what we were thinking about as far as like, this is how to combat colonizer criticism. Yeah.
I wanted to like add something that I read today, an essay on artistic integrity. I've been studying bell hooks. Bell hooks is very prolific, so I'm going through her books and essays, and so I've been quoting a lot of bell hooks. If you follow me, I've got quotes everywhere. It's going to continue because the woman was great and had great stuff and had a lot, and I'm going through it all. But she talks about in this essay on artistic integrity about how when it comes to white creators creating their content, they are never given the responsibility of grounding their content in anything else other than they can give us what they give us and walk away. But when you got Black creators creating Black content, you've got, Chinese creators creating Chinese content. You've got, Latino creators creating Latinx content. Those creators and filmmakers, they have to somehow justify why. Not only what did you make, but what did you make? Why did you make it Black or Black? Why did you ground it in your community? And what larger political message are you saying? So you have to there's extra hoops you have to jump through to almost give an excuse for making a movie about your people. And that's kind of what I saw here. And, they kind of presented BEL-AIR as here, have it, take it from us. And they gave no excuses. I mean, Will Smith he did give a lot of press and a lot of, this was before the Oscars, y'all, and I wrote all this down before the Oscars. He gave a lot of press and a lot of talk and tried to, create a framework for it. And some of the others that were involved did as well. But they didn't give an excuse for it like we're used to. And so I think in absence of that, I think that's one of the reasons for these reviews, because they don't, what's the point in having Black content made with Black people, seemingly to target Black people without having some kind of political something that they didn't see. So yeah. And this whole idea is in the essay. Let me get the title. Scroll back up. I lost it. But the whole point of this idea is to say that we need to be equitable about this, and apply these tenets and these rules to everyone.
Right.
If you are sitting here saying, oh, I see this thing that's made by one person for their own culture, you need to be questioning the white creators doing their thing just as bad as you are. And if you don't see it, I mean, why did Jane Campion make her movie? Yeah. Why did she make that? Why did she make that movie? What was the larger context? What was she trying to say? Is there something feminist in it? Kirsten Dunst was the only major woman part, female role. What was that trying to say? What was it trying to do?
Right.
You didn't hear any of that though. None of that. So why are we challenging BEL-AIR in this way? And I think that this is kind of almost a reverse of asking those questions that, anybody who's been on junkets, you hear them all the time. Why did you make these for the Black community? Well, is it because people will directly ask that stuff. And to me, this is just an offshoot of that. And another point of colonizer criticism is to make sure that we're applying the same treatment across the board to everyone. So that was kind of a roundabout way of me explaining it, but I feel it fits.
Yeah, I mean, I think to what you're saying, it's this interesting way of writing reviews where it's I felt like one of them in particular felt like it was as if the creators weren't asking for permission, and therefore where there was discomfort in giving permission that it should exist. And it really was it was pretty stark between Angelica's and Melanie's and then again, not against, but in comparison to Matt Rush's and Jack Seal's, how Rush's and Jack Seal's, I think, as you mentioned, was very much framed in, which you mentioned at the start, at the jump, sitcom versus drama, and almost this, well, like, so as you said, word choice, audacity was used
The audacity. Mm-hmm.
and it was, and so again, when the review is framed like that from the very beginning, the rest of it ended up, to me, putting me in this mindset of asking, how dare they? And it's just like, I don't understand the like, why is that being employed?
Mm-hmm.
Besides what it is possibly being employed for, which is to say these creators, and then again, understanding the root of the creation of the series, right? Which was a fan generated their idea as a video, and it became viral. And it was, so then when you apply that how dare they audacity question, this idea of like, how dare a fan think that now they have this opportunity to influence and be in this realm with, in the arts with these people, you know, like, it just,
they ram the gates. How dare you ram the gates, you know?
Like, or bypass or catch the attention of someone who has influence, of someone of color who had influence, that was like, yeah, I love this idea, let's roll with it. Like, why is, when you apply audacity to that, what is it that one is trying to do, right? What are you trying to close off? That's access to me. Like, why are you trying to close off that person's access? Because it somehow doesn't fit this concept one has over how you're supposed to break in or exist in this industry. It's fascinating to use a word. I feel like a word bell hooks uses often. It's fascinating.
Yes.
that happens.
It is.
Yeah.
And I like how you say that. And when you do look at the word audacity, it does imply that someone crossed the line without permission. You did something. You crossed a boundary without giving a social cue, or some kind of you didn't follow a rule, or and so it's like, okay, so it goes back to respectability politics. So now you're saying that they were supposed to be respectful to you, the critic, about the work they did all the hard work on. They did all the work. They're supposed to be respectful to you.
Right. Yeah. It's I think, and so the goal of this show is to, as we mentioned at the top, we hope in having this conversation and in the way we're having it, it encourages everyone who tunes in, either like during now and in the playback, to review the reviews.
Read them, man, read them. I mean, this one on Rotten Tomatoes, the top critics, 50%. I don't know the demographics of Rotten Tomatoes, but one can guess. I can almost guarantee you that that we all know what the 50% the rotten side was, what those creators look like. This isn't the first time this has happened. If you look at other movies that are made targeting one culture, created by a culture, it's the same thing. So yeah, look at these things. When you see a disconnect between the audience and the critics, go look and see why, and then look and see who's saying what, and you'll be surprised. And then come back and talk to us.
We have a few minutes. If anyone had any questions? I think we had.
Saw one. That was a comment.
We did have one comment from Lady B Ama. I don't know if you're still in. They say, I don't think the critics did their homework about the show, nor knew about Morgan Cooper's trailer that BEL-AIR is based off of. Yep. It's interesting how it it ran the range of that, right? Like, I'm not sure if Rausch did, because I can't remember if Rausch referenced it. But Angelica Bastian, Peel, and Melanie McFarland did reference that backstory. I think, if I recall it correctly, Melanie McFarland's and Angelica Jade Bastian's reference gave a kind of fuller backstory around it. I mean, Farland's ends with, like the backstory is very rich, and would love to love to see it.
Right. I think it goes back to what you said, that it's the audacity of the fan trying to think he can break into an ordinary black kid, thinking that he can break into Hollywood. That's not for you. That's not where you're supposed to go. You're supposed to go through the gate so that we can tell you're not on the list, and then we can go through our little song and dance and keep you out and make it harder for you to get in. But you found a way around us, and that's not cool.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. And go ahead.
Sorry, no, and then the other comment was from Jade Seabury, PR Jade, and she rated a comedy to the drama. I like the same thing they did with Sabrina, and which is absolutely, Sabrina was, oh my gosh, that was like high school. Was that originally Nickelodeon? Like, that was high school comedy.
It was ABC. ABC. It was like, I think it was like the Friday night or Thursday night, or wasn't it something like that?
I thought I remembered it going from a kid network, then was picked up by ABC, and then ran there. Thinking of it wrong, or maybe it's just because the actress was in two shows and they were the two. But yes, the longer running show comedy. Yeah, you're right. It was on ABC, and then it was picked up. Which streamer? Is it Netflix?
Netflix, and Netflix made it dork. Oh my god.
And it's like goth and woo.
You didn't hear any of this criticism though for that though.
I mean, one of the things in preparation, I was like, I wish I could pull up what the reviews were for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the sitcom, in 1990. I was like, there's no way that I could pull that up online. I didn't do a good enough search, I think, but I feel like I would have loved to compare. As much as it seems to be, like, as you say, deified today by some of these critics, as used as a reason as to why the drama isn't hitting the same kind of vibe. I want to see what was the reviews in 1990. Was it appealing in the way that it seems to be remembered now? And
I don't think so.
If not, is that why it was given? That's why 6 years, if you have a show exist for 6 years and it breathes and it becomes dynamic, that's why people remember it the way they did. And if that's so, why can't we consider that for a new project?
I found an EW review. They gave it a B. They said the punchlines are predictable, but the kid and his stern uncle generate a great deal of comic energy. James Avery, the late James Avery, does excellent slow burns while the Fresh Prince mouths off. Given all the bad publicity that rap has received lately, the Fresh Prince might help convince lots of viewers that rap can be good, clean fun. I mean, so it's a B. If I remember correctly, because I know my mom was one of the I was around 10 around the time. I don't think it was well received. I think it was seen as, that show is a bunch of another show nonsense, it's that rap stuff. Metacritic has it at 3 stars. So
1990 or the sitcom.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I don't know if those were the original or what, but I can bet that the original criticisms were not that good.
I've seen full disclosure, I know I'm of the generation that came up with Fresh Prince. I'm sadly not a stan as many had been. I was more, I think Angelica Bastien framed it really well about like the generation it came up with. I was a Living Single fan, so which would be weird to say because I was young. But I still like that was the one that I show and I'm rewatching now. So when I come into watching the free episode, you know, the episode on Peacock, I am coming at it fairly unattached to the original, to the sitcom. And I mean, it's surprising to, I read the reviews first and then I watched it, and it was surprising to me to see like, you know, it opens familial. It opened with making sure that Will Smith is set in this neighborhood, in this family that he loves, in this space that he loves, on a street that he loves. Like it didn't, so to have people have reviewed it and then like it ends up really, really dark. I mean, I see some of the dark spots, and I think Bastien mentions like there's parody. There was a part where I was like, why is this person driving away on a off-road vehicle? So I was like, okay, I see some of it there. But ultimately, like, as it stood, I was like, I see this comparable to what other shows are coming out now as far as like drama goes. So, I don't understand why we can't give it a chance, which is what 2 reviews had said.
Yeah.
Actually, just 1 review really did say of these 4. Yeah. Like, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I found Matt Roush's review of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It says September 10th, 1990. Ooh. This is just the first part. Whether clinking crystal to a beat or jiving with a crusty butler, Smith is looked upon by even his detractors with a condescending, isn't he something adoration. Tiresome as it is, Smith's breezy and non-combative charm gives this the look of a winner, even if, in concept, it's more a nap than a rap time. A nap time than a rap time, yeah. This was the guy that put this show on a pedestal, though, right?
Yeah, right now, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I believe he ended his with pining for the show having the same sense of fun as the sitcom.
Yeah, still its early days. Still in its early days. Whenever Banks it's early days, and whenever Banks pours on Will's charm, one can hope Bel-Air will discover some of the original series' sense of fun. But he called it a nap. And jiving. Okay.
Well, it would be sense of fun. That's a hard ask of a drama. Like it's. I mean, okay, I guess, but then that really feels like a far reach. I must say a hard reach, but like a challenge, a drama to convert itself back. I mean, is that the idea then, that the drama should convert itself back? These are unanswered questions because obviously we don't have them here. But
I mean, they're answerable because when you go back to Aristotle's Poetics, which is the base of what we do, of the medium that we critique, drama and comedy are 2 separate things that are totally that are cut from one another. They're not comparable. They're not, and that's the basics. You want to dispute Aristotle? Go ahead. I'm not going to try.
So we're about like at 45. So no, we're fine. But we probably should wrap it up just for a matter of file size. But yeah, so I would like to thank you again, Jonita, for collaborating on this series and on our first episode. Do you want to share, is there anything coming up for you and how people should follow you?
Right now, well, I did the AURN online discussion last night. That was really interesting. That's up. The recording of that is up. And you can see my work at theblackcapemag.com, or the Black Cape Mag here on Instagram. You can find it. I've got a wonderful team that's kind of taking the helm right now. Hey, Kit, Destiny, Donnie, and Ankit. And they're doing some amazing things right now with all the Black Cape content. Some of my stuff, it's still up there, and you're going to see more. But they're taking the lead there because I am editing a book and writing a book.
Ooh.
So yeah, I've got a romance novel coming out through Saga Fiction. Was a spring book, but they pushed it to summer. But they pushed it to summer for a good reason. It's going to be coming out in midsummer. When I get a date, I'll let you guys know. But it's a great ride. It's a romantic comedy called Carrying On. It's very funny, and it's something that I pulled out of me. I didn't know I could do. I love rom-coms. I didn't know I could write one. And I'm also writing a book about Black nerd culture. It's nowhere near coming out. It's 2023 is the release date. But if you're a blurred, come look me up. We need to talk. So.
Yeah, so the Black Cape Mag, I put it in the comments. But again, it's also listed on the article on. I'm keeping a running synopsis on hellobarcada.org, so everyone can always go there and link up to the Black Cape Mag Instagram, Twitter, and website.
On Medium, yeah.
And Medium, yeah, and then
the website is on Medium.
It's on Medium, yeah. And then Jonita is here, but make sure if you follow her, put up Jonita L. Davis, middle initial.
Yes.
Yes, and that's
there are imposters. Yeah, I mean there were like accounts that popped up with my name a couple of years ago, and I've tried to get them taken down, and they won't do it. So Instagram won't do it, and there's some on Twitter. They're just letting them stay. So whatever. Just put the L in there.
Yep. And then you'll get the correct Jonita Davis. And I am Christine Pasalo Norland. You can follow me here at Hello Barcada. We are starting to think about our next episode. We do not have a frequency, so just because, as you can hear, Jonita's got lots of writing and editing done right now, and I'm all busy on my end too. So we are going to work on a potential frequency, but for now, just go ahead and follow us on Instagram, and we'll announce the next episode soon. It kind of got. It's in the works. It's in the works, and it could potentially include an additional voice. So we guess, because we have a list of people we want to bring on.
Yes, our dream list. And and if you see something that you're like, oh, this would be good for the call out, tag us. One of us, or both of us, all three of us, all four of our everythings, let us know, let us see it, Yeah,
DM it to us. We are open to it because this is, as we said at the start, it's a collective. So we invite everyone to join in this conversation and share your thoughts. As long as, and make sure to be constructive.
Yes, constructive. Yes.
So yeah,
Activism,
so thank you again for joining. And thanks again, Jonita.
Thank you for having me. This is wonderful, and thanks for putting it all together. Christine did all the wonderful magic with all of this, and getting me organized enough to be here. So thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we'll see you next time, everyone.
Bye, everybody.